It was almost midnight when Chief Chukwudi, one of the most respected billionaires in Lagos, walked quietly down the long hallway of his mansion. The night was still. The only sounds were the low hum of the air conditioner and the faint echo of his polished shoes on the marble floor. He wasn't supposed to be home that night. His flight to Abuja for a business conference had been canceled at the last minute. Instead of calling ahead, he decided to surprise his only son, Tobe Chukwudi, known to everyone as Tobe, who had just returned from studying abroad. A small smile played on Chief's lips as he reached the top of the stairs. He had missed his boy and wanted to see him settled. But as he got closer to Tobe's room, something strange caught his attention. The door was slightly open. Light spilled faintly into the hallway, and beneath it came a soft, broken sound, like someone trying not to cry. Chief's brow furrowed. He pushed the door gently. What he saw stopped him cold. There, on the massive bed, lay a young girl, a maid named Ngozi, barely 20, trembling, her uniform ripped at the shoulder, her knees bruised, her face wet with tears. Standing over her was Tobe, shirtless, clutching a bottle of Hennessy, his eyes glassy with drink. "Tobe Chukwudi." Chief's voice thundered through the room. Tobe spun around, startled. "Dad, what the hell are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" Chief's voice cracked like thunder. "What are you doing to her?" Ngozi gasped, trying to pull the bedsheet over herself, whispering through tears, "Please, sir, please don't let him hurt me again." That word, again, pierced through Chief like a spear. He looked from his son to the girl, disbelief shaking his whole body. Tobe dropped the bottle, glass shattering on the tiled floor, the smell of alcohol mixing with fear. "Dad, you don't understand. She's lying." But Ngozi's sobs silenced him. Chief took a step closer, his voice low and dangerous. "Who did this to you?" Her trembling hand pointed toward Tobe. Chief's eyes filled with disgust and heartbreak. "You hurt her." Tobe shook his head frantically. No. She wanted Dad. It's not what it looks like." Before he could finish, Chief's palm struck him across the face. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. "How dare you?" Chief shouted, trembling. "How dare you bring this shame into my house?" Ngozi tried to sit up, but her body was weak. As she shifted, something small fell from the bed. A silver necklace, its chain broken. Chief bent to pick it up. Inside the tiny locket was a picture, a young woman smiling softly. When Chief saw the face, his world stopped. It was his late wife, Adiz. Chief froze. Where did you get this?" he demanded. Ngozi blinked through tears. "It was my mother's," she whispered. Chief staggered backward. "What did you say?" "My mother gave it to me before she died," Ngozi said weakly. "Her name was Adiz. Adiz Okafor." Tobe frowned. "Wait, Dad, did she just say?" Chief's breath caught in his throat. He looked at the girl again, really looked this time, and his heart began to race. The resemblance was undeniable. The same brown eyes, the same dimple near her left cheek, even the small scar beneath her chin, exactly like Adiz. It couldn't be, but it was. Chief's voice trembled. "Who was your father?" "I don't know," Ngozi whispered. "Mama said he left before I was born. She never told me his name." The room fell deadly quiet. Tobe's hands dropped to his sides. "Dad, what is she talking about?" Chief didn't answer. His chest rose and fell heavily. Memories of Adiz's final years came flooding back. Her sudden trips, her unexplained sadness, the nights she cried alone. Now it all made sense. She had been hiding something. Or rather, someone. Chief turned slowly toward his son. "Tobe Chukwudi, do you understand what she just said?" Tobe frowned, confused. "No. Why are you looking at me like that?" Chief's voice broke as he whispered, "She might be your sister." The words landed like a blow. Tobe's face went pale. "What? No. That's impossible." But Chief's eyes were wet with tears, his voice shaking. "It's true. I can feel it in my bones." He turned back to Ngozi, clutching the broken locket. "Adiz hid you from me, didn't she? She had you after she left home." Ngozi's eyes widened in confusion. "You knew my mother?" Chief swallowed hard. "She was my wife." The silence that followed was unbearable. Tobe stepped back, shaking his head violently. "No, Dad. You're saying she's my sister? I didn't know." I swear I didn't know. Chief's heart was breaking apart. You nearly destroyed her. Tobe, you nearly destroyed your own blood. The young man's mouth opened, but no words came out. His knees gave way as he sank to the floor, horrified. Chief bent down beside Ngozi, his hands trembling as he helped her sit up. My child, he whispered, voice thick with grief. My daughter, what have I done? Ngozi's eyes fluttered weakly, her lips trembling as she tried to understand what was happening. Outside, thunder rolled across the Lagos sky. Inside, a father, a son, and an innocent girl sat broken beneath the weight of a truth that could destroy them all. Chief closed his eyes, clutching the two halves of the necklace in his shaking hands, one with Adi's face, the other that had somehow slipped from Ngozi's palm, containing his own photo. Someone had known this truth long before tonight, and as Ngozi collapsed in his arms, unconscious, Chief realized the real question was not how, but who had kept this secret all these years, and why. The storm outside roared louder, lightning slicing across the sky. Chief looked at his son's terrified face, then at the girl's faint breath, and whispered under his breath, "This house will never be the same again." The mansion was silent the next morning, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that comes after a storm, thick, heavy, and full of broken things that no one dared to touch. Chief Chukwudi sat on the edge of his mahogany desk in the study, staring at the two halves of the locket laid out before him. His late wife's face smiled faintly from one side, his own from the other. His hands trembled as he ran a thumb over the cracked glass. He hadn't slept. The image of Ngozi lying helpless in Tobe's room had played in his head all night, like a wound that refused to close. He looked up when the door creaked open. His old housekeeper, Mama Ifeoma, stepped in quietly. Her face was pale with worry. "Chief, the girl. Ngozi, she's awake," she said softly. Chief exhaled sharply, relief washing through him. "How is she?" "She's weak but stable. Doctor said she'll recover. I stayed with her all night." Chief nodded slowly. "And Tobe?" Mama Ifeoma hesitated. "He locked himself in his room, sir. He's not eaten, not said a word since last night." Chief rubbed his forehead. "Good. Let him stay there until I decide what to do with him." Mama Ifeoma sighed deeply, her eyes filling with sympathy. "Sir, this house, it's heavy with pain. But that girl, she's innocent. You should talk to her." Chief nodded. He stood, buttoned his robe, and followed her to the guest room. When he entered, Ngozi was sitting up on the bed, wrapped in a clean blanket. Her face was pale, but her eyes, those same deep brown eyes that had haunted him all night, were wide and full of confusion. As soon as she saw him, she stiffened. "Good morning, sir." "You don't have to call me sir," Chief said gently. "You can call me Chukwudi." She frowned, unsure how to respond. "You are my employer, sir." "Not anymore," he said quietly. She blinked. "What do you mean?" Chief pulled a chair close and sat down. "Ngozi, I need to ask you a few questions. They may sound strange, but please answer me honestly." She nodded slowly. "Your mother," he began. "You said her name was Adiz Okafor." "Yes." "Do you remember her well?" Ngozi's voice softened. "Not much. She died when I was about 7. But I remember her laugh, her perfume, and how she used to hum while cooking. She told me Lagos was where she met someone she loved deeply. But that love broke her heart." Chief felt his throat tighten. "Did she ever say the man's name?" "She never did. But she said he was powerful, rich, that he promised her a home, then disappeared before I was born." The words hit Chief like a hammer. He gripped the arm of the chair to steady himself. "Did she ever mention this house?" Ngozi looked up suddenly, eyes wide. "Yes. She once said she used to work for a man here, before everything changed. I didn't believe her then. But the first day I entered this house, something felt familiar, like I had been here before." Chief's lips trembled. "You were here. You were here as a baby." Ngozi's eyes filled with confusion. "What are you saying?" Chief swallowed hard. "Your mother." "Adiz, she was my wife." Ngozi froze. The room felt smaller. "What? I didn't know about you," he said quickly, his voice breaking. "When she left, I thought she went abroad for treatment. She never told me she was pregnant. Tears welled in Ngozi's eyes. "So, you're saying you're my father?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, my child. You are my blood." She stared at him in disbelief, shaking her head. "No, that can't be true." "It is," he said softly, showing her the two halves of the necklace. "Your mother wore this every day. I had a matching one. When I saw it last night, I knew." Her tears fell freely now. "All my life, I prayed to meet my father. I never imagined it would be like this." Chief stood and moved closer, but she pulled back slightly. "Don't come near me," she whispered. "I can't even process this." He froze, guilt washing over him. "I'm sorry, Ngozi," he murmured. "If I had known, if Adiz had told me, none of this would have happened." She wiped her tears. "You may not have known, but your son," her voice broke. "He ruined everything." Chief clenched his fists. "Tobe will face the consequences. I promise you that." She looked at him, her expression torn between pain and disbelief. "How can you even look at him after what he did?" "Because I am his father," Chief said bitterly, "and a father must correct his child. But believe me, Ngozi, I will not protect him from this." Silence filled the room again. Outside, birds chirped faintly, as if mocking the misery inside. After a long pause, Ngozi whispered, "What will happen to me now?" Chief hesitated. "You'll stay here. Your family now." Her eyes widened in panic. "Stay here? After what happened?" "I'll make sure Tobe never comes near you again," he said firmly. "I'll move you into the East Wing. You'll have your own security, your own comfort. I owe you that much." She shook her head. "I don't want comfort. I want peace. I want to leave this house." Chief's heart twisted. "Please don't go. Let me make things right." Ngozi looked away, silent tears running down her face. "You can't fix what's already broken, Chief." He lowered his head, unable to argue. Just then, the door creaked. Tobe stood at the entrance, eyes red, face pale. "Ngozi," he began, voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." She turned her face away. "You shouldn't be here." But Chief's voice cut through. "Leave us, Tobe. You've done enough damage." Tobe looked down, ashamed, then slowly walked out. The door clicked shut behind him. Chief sat in silence for a long moment. Then, softly, he said, "Ngozi, I can't change the past, but I can protect your future. I swear it." She didn't reply. He stood slowly, adjusting his robe. "Rest for now. I'll call you later." As he left the room, Mama Ifeoma met him at the corridor. "Chief, you look troubled." He gave a bitter smile. "Because my sins have finally come home, Mama." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He sighed. "The child Adiz hid from me is the same girl my son destroyed." Mama Ifeoma gasped, covering her mouth. "Yezu, Chief, this is abomination." "I know," he whispered, "and I fear it's only the beginning." That night, while the mansion slept, Chief sat alone in his study again. He opened his safe, took out an old envelope, one he hadn't looked at in 15 years. Inside were Adiz's old letters. As he read through them, one line made his blood run cold. "If you ever find the child I hid, forgive me, Chukwudi. But remember, she carries a truth that could destroy your legacy." Chief's eyes widened. "Destroy my legacy," he repeated aloud. He looked up slowly toward the window, where the wind rattled the glass. For the first time, fear crawled into his chest. Not for his money, not even for his son, but for what truth Adiz had tried to hide all those years. And in the quiet of that dark night, a new question haunted him. If Ngozi was his daughter, why did Adiz hide her like a secret meant to stay buried? The morning after the storm carried a strange stillness across the Nambi mansion. Sunlight filtered through the tall curtains, bright and warm, but could not touch the cold that had settled inside. Chief Chukwudi hadn't left his study all night. The open letters from Adiz still lay scattered across his desk like ghosts of a past he had never fully understood. He stared blankly at the words, his mind replaying everything. Adiz's last day, her trembling hands when she told him she needed to leave Lagos, and the tears she tried to hide behind her smile. He had loved her. Despite their arguments, despite her silence, he had truly loved her. But now he realized she had loved him differently. She had loved him with secrets. A knock came at the door. "Come in," he said quietly. It was Tobe. His eyes were swollen, his steps uncertain. He looked nothing like the arrogant young man who had once ruled every party in Lagos with confidence. He now looked broken. "Papa," he said softly, "I came to apologize again." Chukwudi didn't lift his eyes. "Apologies can't clean what you've stained, Chukwudi. I know, Papa. I was drunk. I didn't know." "Drunk or not," Chief cut in sharply, "you hurt a girl who trusted this home. You disgrace your name and mine. But that's not even the worst part." Tobe frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Chief finally looked up, his eyes hollow. "The girl you violated might be your sister." Tobe froze, as though the air had been sucked from his lungs. "Papa, please don't say that. It can't be true. I wish it weren't," Chief whispered. "But the evidence is there. The locket, her mother's name, her story, all of it fits." Tobe's voice trembled. "Then what do we do now?" Chief's gaze darkened. "We face it like men. You will go to her and beg for forgiveness. And after that, you'll leave this house until I say otherwise." Tobe's mouth quivered. "Leave? Yes. I cannot bear to see you under this roof while that girl heals." Tobe wanted to protest, but something in his father's tone silenced him. He nodded weakly. "Okay, Papa. I'll do whatever you say." Chief looked away. "You should start packing. Before sunset, you'll be gone." Tobe's chest tightened, but he didn't argue. He bowed his head and quietly left the study. For a long time, Chief sat motionless. Then, with a heavy sigh, he stood and went upstairs toward the east wing, toward Ngozi's room. He knocked softly. "Come in," her faint voice said. She was sitting by the window, wrapped in a soft blanket, staring outside. The sunlight danced across her face, making her look fragile and innocent. "How are you feeling?" Chief asked gently. She turned to face him. Her eyes were distant. "I've been better." He walked closer and sat beside her. "Ngozi, I don't expect you to forgive me or my son, but I need you to know that you are safe here. No one will ever hurt you again." She nodded slightly, though her eyes glistened. "Safe," she repeated softly. "I haven't felt safe in years." He looked at her carefully. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "Before I came here, I worked in other houses too. Some good, some terrible. But people like me, we don't have protection. We take whatever life throws at us." Chief's chest tightened with guilt. "You deserved better, my child." She shook her head. "Don't call me that, please. Not yet. I don't know how to feel." He swallowed hard. "I understand." Silence filled the room for a while, broken only by the chirping of birds outside. Then Ngozi turned to him suddenly. "You said my mother was your wife." "Yes," he answered softly. "We were married for 3 years. She left when she found out she was pregnant. I thought she was sick. She told me she needed treatment in Enugu." "Why would she hide me from you?" Ngozi asked, her voice trembling. Chief sighed deeply. "I've been asking myself that same question since last night. Maybe she didn't trust me enough. Maybe she was protecting you from something I didn't know." Ngozi frowned. "Protecting me? From what?" "I don't know," Chief admitted. "But I intend to find out." She looked down at her hands, twisting the blanket between her fingers. "Do you think she knew what kind of man your son would become?" Chief's face tightened. "Tobe wasn't always like this. He was a kind boy once, generous, full of laughter. But after his mother died, he changed. The friends he kept, the parties, the arrogance. I tried to correct him, but I failed." Ngozi stared at him for a long time before whispering. "Sometimes pain creates monsters, Chief. Sometimes it creates survivors." He looked at her, seeing strength in her eyes for the first time. "You sound like your mother," he said softly. Her lips twitched. "Maybe that's the only good thing I inherited." They sat quietly for a few moments more before Chief stood. "Rest now. I'll make arrangements for your comfort. There's something I must do today." "What is it?" "Visit your mother's grave." Her eyes widened. "You remember where she was buried?" He nodded slowly. "I never forgot." Later that afternoon, Chief drove alone to a small cemetery on the outskirts of Enugu. The road was rough, but his mind was rougher. When he reached the old gate, the caretaker recognized him immediately and bowed. Chief walked through the overgrown grass until he found the grave. Adiz Okafor, 1978 to 2006. Gone too soon, but forever loved. He knelt beside it, brushing away the fallen leaves. "Adiz," he whispered, "you hid a child from me. You took her away, made me believe you were gone forever. What? The wind answered in silence. He placed the locket halves together on the grave and whispered, "Our daughter lives at ease. But she carries scars she shouldn't have. If there's anything you hid from me, anything that could destroy her, help me find it." He stayed there for a long time, listening to the rustle of the trees, the whispers of the past. When he finally rose to leave, he noticed an elderly woman standing by a nearby grave, watching him. Her face was wrinkled, her eyes sharp with recognition. "Chief Chukwudi Namdi," she said softly. "You finally came." He frowned. "Do I know you?" She nodded. "You should. I was Adi's friend. I was the one who helped her hide the child." Chief's heart skipped. "You helped her?" "Yes," the woman said calmly. "And I know why she did it." He stepped closer, desperate. "Tell me, please." The old woman's expression turned grave. "Because that child was not only yours." Chief froze. "What?" "She was born after Adi's was taken away from you. By your business partner, Mr. Obinna Okeke." The words struck like lightning. Chief's voice shook. "You're saying Ngozi might not be mine?" The woman nodded slowly. "Adi's didn't know whose blood the child carried. She wanted to protect you both. That's why she disappeared." Chief staggered backward, the ground spinning beneath him. No, this can't be true." "It is," the woman said softly. "Your wife lived in fear. That's why she hid the girl, and why she told me to keep the truth until someone came asking." Chief's mind reeled. Everything, his guilt, his shame, his anger, suddenly twisted into confusion. If Ngozi wasn't his daughter, then who was she really? And worse, what if Tobeson wasn't just shameful but fatal? He looked up at the old woman, his voice breaking. "Where is Obinna Okeke now?" Her lips curled into a sad smile. "In your world, Chief, richer, more powerful, and far more dangerous than before." The air seemed to thicken. The realization settled heavily in Chief's chest. This wasn't just a family tragedy anymore. It was the beginning of something darker. Something Adi's had died, trying to keep buried. Was Ngozi truly his daughter? Or the child of his greatest rival, Obinna Okeke? The same man who had betrayed him years ago in business and nearly ruined his company? If that was true, then everything he thought he knew about his family was a lie. By the time he reached his mansion in Ikoyi, the sun was sinking low. The sky burned orange and gold, a deceptive beauty that mocked his turmoil. As he parked and stepped out, the security guard saluted. "Welcome, Chief." He barely responded. His thoughts were too heavy. Inside the house, the air was thick with tension. Mama Ifeoma met him in the hallway, wringing her hands nervously. "Chief, there's trouble," she whispered. He froze. "What kind of trouble?" "It's Tobe." He tried to speak with the girl again. She fainted from fear. Chief's jaw tightened. "Where is he?" "In his room, sir. I told him to stay away, but he refused to listen." Chief stormed up the stairs, his fury building with every step. When he reached Tobe's door, he didn't bother to knock. He pushed it open hard enough to make the hinges groan. Tobe jumped to his feet. "Papa, shut your mouth." Chief thundered. "Did I not warn you to stay away from her? I just wanted to apologize again." "Apology?" Chief barked. "You think saying sorry will undo what you did? You think sorry will erase her nightmares?" Tobe's eyes filled with tears. "I swear, Papa, I didn't mean to hurt her. I didn't know she—" "Enough!" Chief slammed his fist on the table. "From this moment, you're no longer under my roof. You'll pack your things and leave tonight." "Papa, please. Get out." The room vibrated with anger and disappointment. For a long moment, Tobe just stood there, trembling. Then he whispered, "Where do you expect me to go?" "To the place where you'll learn humility," Chief said coldly. "Maybe losing comfort will remind you what it means to be human." Tobe's eyes hardened. "So you've chosen her over your own son?" Chief stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "You stopped being my son the moment you raised your hand against an innocent girl." There was no fight left in Tobe. He turned away, blinking hard to hide his tears. "I'll leave," he muttered. "But don't forget, Papa, you taught me how to be this way." Chief froze at that. Those words cut deep because they were true. His obsession with pride, dominance, and image had created a shadow in his son's heart. A shadow that now destroyed everything he valued. He watched as Tobe stuffed his clothes into a travel bag and stormed out of the mansion without another word. When the heavy gate shut behind him, Chief felt something collapse inside his chest. He went straight to the east wing. Ngozi was still unconscious, her breathing shallow but steady. Dr. Martins was attending to her. "How is she?" Chief asked, his voice weak. "She'll be fine," the doctor replied. "But she needs rest and peace of mind. She's been through trauma." Chief nodded slowly. "Thank you, doctor." As the doctor left, Chief sat quietly beside Ngozi's bed. He studied her face, so innocent, so fragile, yet carrying a strength that humbled him. He thought about what the old woman had said. If Adiz had truly been with Obinna, then everything, his marriage, his son's actions, his guilt, was part of a web spun long ago. And at the center of that web was one man, Obinna Okeke, his former friend turned enemy. Chief's eyes narrowed. "So this is how you strike back, Obinna," he muttered under his breath. "Through a child?" He stood abruptly and left the room, his mind made up. That same evening, he drove to Lekki Phase 1, where Obinna's glass mansion stood like a monument of pride. The guard tried to stop him, but one look at his face made them step aside. He walked straight into the grand living room where Obinna sat, sipping brandy, a sly smile curving his lips. "Chukwudi," he said coolly. "Long time no see. To what do I owe this surprise?" Chief's jaw tightened. "You know why I'm here." Obinna chuckled. "Do I? You slept with my wife." Obinna leaned back, amused. "That was nearly 20 years ago. You're still angry about that." "You ruined my marriage," Chief said, his voice shaking with rage. "And now, I find out there's a child involved." "Ah," Obinna said softly, swirling his drink. "So you found her." Chief's eyes darkened. "You knew she existed?" "I've known for years," Obinna replied smugly. "Adiz came to me when she found out she was pregnant. She wasn't sure who the father was. She begged me to keep quiet for your reputation." I agreed. "But make no mistake, Chukwudi, that child could be mine." Chief's hand curled into a fist. "You're lying." "Am I?" Obinna smiled wider. "You're the one who raised a monster of a son. I hear he nearly destroyed her. That boy is your reflection, Chukwudi. Your arrogance lives in him." Chief lunged forward, grabbing Obinna by the collar. "If I find out you've been watching all this from the shadows, I swear." Obinna didn't flinch. "You'll do what? Hit me? Kill me? You're already dying inside, old friend. I don't need to lift a finger." Chief released him, trembling. "What do you want, Obinna? Why keep silent all these years?" Obinna's expression hardened. "Revenge." Chief's heart pounded. "Revenge? For what?" "For everything," Obinna hissed. "You took my company contracts. You took the government deals that were meant for me. You took my dignity in front of every businessman in this city. Adiz was only the first thing I took back." Chief stared at him, horrified. "You used her?" he whispered. Obinna shrugged. "She was lonely. You were busy chasing power. She came to me for comfort, and I gave it. If she bore my child, then fate has a strange sense of humor, doesn't it?" Chief could barely breathe. "You're a devil." Obinna smiled faintly. "No, Chukwudi. I'm just a mirror showing you your reflection." Chief turned and walked out without another word. The walls seemed to close in around him as he stepped into the night air. Outside, he leaned on his car, fighting the tremor in his hands. If Obinna was telling the truth, then Ngozi might be his enemy's daughter. And that meant Tobe's act wasn't just a tragedy. It was the final step in Obinna's revenge. As he drove home through the dark streets, Lagos lights blurring past, Chief whispered to himself, "No, I won't let him win. Not again." When he reached home, he found Mama Ifeoma waiting by the gate, her eyes full of fear. "Chief, something's wrong," she said quickly. "The girl's gone." Chief froze. "What?" "She left a note," Mama Ifeoma said, trembling. "She said she can't stay in a house full of ghosts." Chief's world tilted again. He snatched the folded note from her hand and opened it. "Thank you for your kindness, Chief, but I can't live under the same roof as the man who hurt me, or the man who raised him. I don't know who I am anymore. I need to find the truth for myself. Please don't look for me." Ngozi, the paper slipped from his fingers. Outside, the night wind howled through the palm trees, carrying away the last shred of peace the Nambi mansion had left. Chief closed his eyes, whispering, "Adiz, what have you done to us?" He didn't see Mama Ifeoma trembling as she picked up the note, because on the back of the paper, hidden in faint pencil marks, was another message Ngozi hadn't meant for anyone to read. "Someone has been watching me since I arrived here. I think it's the man from your photos, Chief, the one you called Obinna." The ride back from Enugu felt endless. Chief Chukwudi's mind spun with every bump on the road. His hands clenched the steering wheel tighter each time the old woman's words replayed in his head. "That child was not only yours." Adiz didn't know whose blood she carried. He had spent his whole life believing that money could solve anything. Buy comfort, control fate, erase pain. But now, no amount of wealth could untangle the knot that bound his past to the present. Now, as instructed, here's your Chapter 4 audience engagement prompt. Natural YouTube integration. Viewers, imagine being in Chief Chukwudi's position, discovering that the maid your son hurt might be your daughter, and your old enemy could be behind it all. What would you do in his place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And tell us, where are you watching from? Lagos? Accra? Atlanta? Let's see how far our audience spreads. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story if you're hooked, because what's coming next will leave you speechless. The house that once echoed with laughter and servants' chatter now felt like a tomb. Every sound, every tick of the grand clock, every creak of the marble floor seemed to remind Chief Chukwudi of what he had lost. Ngozi was gone. His son was gone. And all that remained were ghosts of a wife who had hidden too much, a rival who had waited too long, and a father who had failed to see it coming. The morning after Ngozi's disappearance, Mama Ifeoma found Chief in the garden. He was sitting by the fountain, still wearing last night's clothes, his eyes sunken from sleeplessness. The note Ngozi left lay open beside him, creased and stained with dew. "Chief," Mama Ifeoma said softly, "you need to eat something." He didn't respond. His gaze was fixed on the rippling water, as though searching for answers there. "She's gone, Mama," he said finally, "and I fear she's in danger." Mama Ifeoma sighed. "You think Obinna took her?" "I don't know," Chief replied, voice low. "But she wrote something at the back of her letter, something I almost missed. She said she'd seen a man watching her, and she described him perfectly. It's Obinna." Mama Ifeoma gasped. "But why would he follow her?" "Because she's the last piece of his revenge," Chief murmured. "He's already taken my peace, my son's honor, and my wife's memory. Now he wants the only innocent one left." He stood abruptly, pacing. "No, I won't let him win this time. I'll find her before he does." 2 days later, Chief was in his office downtown, scrolling through surveillance footage and phone logs. He had hired a private investigator, Detective Kola Bamidil, one of the sharpest men in Lagos. Kola leaned against the desk, sipping coffee. "Chief, I've traced the girl's phone. It last pinged in Surulere, near the old textile warehouse." Surulere? Chief frowned. "Why would she go there?" "That's what we need to find out," Kola said. "I also checked your rival, Obinna Okeke. He owns several warehouses in that same area under shell companies." Chief's heart skipped. "Then that's where she is." "Hold on," Kola said. "We can't rush in. If Obinna is involved, he won't leave her unguarded. I'll get my men to stake it out." "No," Chief said firmly. "I'm coming with you." "Chief, that's not safe. She's my child, or she might be. I won't sit here while another man decides her fate." Kola saw the resolve in his eyes and nodded. "Fine, but you follow my lead." That evening, as the city lights blinked to life, Chief and Kola's SUV rolled quietly into the outskirts of Surulere. The air was heavy with smoke and rain. They parked near an abandoned warehouse, surrounded by rusted gates and flickering lamps. Kola peered through binoculars. 2 guards at the front. Looks like security, but not corporate. Thugs. Chief clenched his fists. Then we're in the right place. They moved quietly through the shadows, circling to the side entrance. Kola picked the lock and gestured for Chief to stay close. Inside, the air was damp and cold. Dust floated in the flashlight's beam. In the distance, they heard a faint sound like someone crying. Chief froze. "That's her." Kola motioned for silence. They crept forward until the light fell on a small makeshift room built from wooden boards. There, chained to a chair, was Ngozi. Her hair was disheveled, her face bruised. But when she saw Chief, her eyes widened with disbelief. "Chief, my child," he whispered. "I'm here." Before he could move closer, a voice echoed from the shadows. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Chief turned sharply. Out stepped Obinna Okeke, calm as ever, a pistol glinting in his hand. "So predictable," Obinna said, smiling faintly. "You always rush in without thinking." Chief's voice trembled with rage. "What have you done to her?" "Nothing yet," Obinna said smoothly. "She's safe. For now. Let her go." "Not so fast," Obinna replied, stepping closer. "You ruined my life, Chukwudi. My company, my contracts, my name, all destroyed because of your greed. So I decided to destroy yours, piece by piece. First your marriage, then your son, and now, the last thing you love, this girl." Chief took a step forward. "If you touch her, I swear." "You'll what?" Obinna laughed. "You can't even protect your own blood. You didn't protect your wife, and you certainly didn't protect her." Chief's hand trembled. "She's not your pawn, Obinna. She's innocent." "Innocent?" Obinna's smile faded. "Do you even know who she is?" "What are you talking about?" "She's not your daughter, Chukwudi," Obinna said quietly. "She's mine." The words hit like a thunderclap. Chief shook his head. "You're lying." Obinna tossed a small envelope at his feet. "DNA test. Courtesy of your late wife. She came to me before she died, begging me to protect the girl from you. She knew your pride would destroy her. She knew you'd reject her if she wasn't yours." Chief bent down slowly, opening the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a test result dated nearly 20 years ago, signed by Adi's doctor. "Father, Obinna Okeke. Child, Ngozi Adiz Okeke. Result, 99.9% match." Chief's eyes burned. No, this can't be true." Obinna smiled coldly. "You see now? She was never yours, Chukwudi. You spent all these years mourning another man's child." Ngozi's voice broke from behind them. "That's not true." Both men turned. She was standing now, her chains broken loose where Kola had cut them silently during their exchange. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice was steady. "You may have fathered me by blood, Mr. Obinna, but you will never be my father by spirit. My mother raised me with love, not hate. And, Chief," she turned to Chukwudi, "even when you thought I wasn't yours, you came for me. That's what a father does." Chief's eyes filled with tears. "Ngozi," Obinna's face twisted in anger. "Ungrateful child." He raised his gun, but before he could fire, Kola stepped out from the shadows and shot first. The bullet grazed Obinna's arm, sending the pistol flying. He staggered back, screaming in pain. Kola kicked the gun away and barked, "Police! Move, and I'll end you." Chief ran to Ngozi, pulling her into his arms. "You're safe now," he whispered. "It's over." But wasn't. As the police sirens grew louder outside, Obinna laughed weakly, clutching his wound. "You think this ends here, Chukwudi? You have no idea what I've set in motion. I may die, but the world will know the truth about your family. I made sure of it." Chief frowned. "What truth?" Obinna smiled through bloodied lips. "Your son. He's not your son either." Chief froze. "What?" Obinna grinned faintly. "Ask your wife's old friend in Enugu. She knows everything. You were so busy chasing wealth. Chukwudi, you never realized the family you built wasn't yours to begin with." The police burst in and dragged him away, but his laughter echoed through the warehouse, haunting and hollow. Ngozi clung to Chief, trembling. What did he mean by that? Chief's face was pale. "I don't know, my child, but I will find out." They stepped into the rain, the flashing police lights cutting through the darkness. For the first time in decades, Chief felt small, like a man standing at the edge of a truth too heavy to bear. As he guided Ngozi into the car, she turned to him softly. "Chief, thank you for coming for me." He looked at her with weary eyes. "No, my daughter. Thank you for showing me what it means to be human again." But deep down, he knew Obinna's last words weren't just the rants of a bitter man. They were the beginning of another secret, one that could destroy whatever was left of the Namdi legacy. Rain hammered against the glass windows of the mansion as Chief Chukwudi sat alone in his study, the world around him sinking into silence. The lamp on his desk flickered weakly, illuminating the DNA test Obinna had dropped, the one that declared Ngozi as Obinna's child. He had read it again and again, hoping the letters would change, that maybe it was forged. But the truth was staring back at him in ink that refused to fade. Ngozi, the girl he had risked his life to save, was his rival's daughter. And his own son might not even be his. He leaned back in his chair, exhaustion and grief crushing him from within. "What have I done to deserve this?" he whispered. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he said quietly. Mama Ifeoma entered, holding a steaming cup of tea. "You haven't eaten, Chief," she said. "You'll fall sick if you continue like this." He gave a tired smile. "Sickness is the least of my problems, Mama." She placed the tea on the desk and hesitated. "Sir, about what that evil man said. Do you believe him?" Chief sighed heavily. "I don't want to, Mama," but something in his eyes, it wasn't the look of a liar. He said, "Adi's old friend knows the truth. The same woman who told me about Ngozi's past." "You mean Mama Agnes?" "Yes," Chief said. "I must go back to Enugu." Mama Ifeoma frowned. "Chief, you've been through too much. Rest a little first." He shook his head. "No, I can't rest until I know who my real family is." By noon, Chief was already on the road to Enugu. The driver, Uchenna, glanced at him through the rearview mirror a few times, but said nothing. Chief's expression was enough to silence even curiosity. When they arrived at Mama Agnes's small compound, the old woman was sitting outside on a wooden stool, weaving palm mats. Her wrinkled hands moved slowly but precisely. When she saw Chief, she smiled faintly, as if she had been expecting him. "Chief Chukwudi Namdi," she greeted softly. "You've come again?" He nodded. "I have questions that need answers." She gestured to a chair. "Then sit. You've traveled far." He sat, his eyes fixed on her. "You told me Ngozi might not be mine, that Adi's was taken by Obinna. But before he was arrested, he said something else. He said even my son isn't mine. Tell me the truth, Mama. Is that possible?" The old woman's hand stopped moving. Her expression grew heavy. "Chief, some truths are better left buried." "Not this one," he said sharply. "I've buried too many secrets already. I must know." Mama Agnes sighed, looking down at her hands. "Very well. You deserve the truth." She looked up, her voice trembling. "Years ago, when Adi's came to me, she was broken. You had just married her, but she was lonely. You were always away on business, and she felt neglected. She confided in me, and in your friend, Obinna." Chief's stomach twisted. "So she betrayed me with him?" "Yes," Mama Agnes said softly. "But it wasn't only him. Before Obinna, she had another man, someone she met before she married you. A man named Ikenna Duru." Chief frowned. "Ikenna? The journalist?" "The same," Mama Agnes nodded. "He and Adi's were close in university. When she married you, she thought she could forget him. But fate brought them together again when you and Obinna were fighting over government contracts. Ikenna was investigating both of you then." Chief's eyes widened. "I remember that investigation. He disappeared before it was completed." Mama Agnes nodded. "He didn't disappear, Chief. He left the country after Adi's told him she was pregnant." Chief's heart began to pound. "Are you saying?" Mama Agnes looked at him sadly. "Tobchukwu is not your son, Chief." The world seemed to tilt. Chief gripped the chair arm tightly. No, that's not true." "It is," Mama Agnes whispered. "Adi's loved you." "Yes, but she was afraid of you. She knew if you found out, you'd destroy her and the boy. So she hid the truth. That's why she never allowed a DNA test. Why she insisted Tobe go abroad. She wanted to protect him from your anger." Chief stood, pacing, his hands trembling. "You mean, I raised another man's son, protected him, gave him my name, and all this time?" Mama Agnes's voice was gentle. "He may not share your blood, Chief, but you raised him. That makes him yours in ways the other men can never claim." He stopped, his breath heavy. "So Ngozi is Obinna's daughter, and Tobe is Ikenna's son. Both of them born from my wife's betrayal." "Not betrayal, Chief," she said softly. "Brokenness. Adi's loved too much, and feared too deeply. Chief turned sharply. Don't defend her. She lied to me all her life. Mama Agnes looked at him sadly. And you lied to yourself. You thought money and power could make love stay. But love doesn't live in mansions, Chief. It lives in hearts that feel seen. He stared at her, unable to speak. After a long silence, he whispered, Where is Ikenna now? Dead, she said simply. He died 2 years ago in Kenya. He never remarried. Chief lowered his head, guilt flooding his chest. So all the men she loved are gone. All except me, the one she couldn't forgive. Mama Agnes reached out and placed a trembling hand on his. You still have time, Chief. Time to heal. Time to love what remains. He looked at her sharply. Ngozi and Tobe hate me. They'll never forgive me for what's happened. Then forgive yourself first, she said softly. Because until you do, peace will never find this house. Later that night, Chief returned to Lagos. The mansion was quiet, only the security lights flickering outside. As he walked in, Mama Ifeoma met him at the stairs. Chief, she said breathlessly, Tobe is back. He froze. What? He came this evening. He looks different, like a man who's been running. He said he needs to talk to you urgently. Chief nodded slowly and went to the living room. Tobe was sitting on the couch, head bowed. His once confident aura was gone. Papa, he said softly, standing. I know I've disappointed you, but there's something I have to tell you. Chief crossed his arms. What is it? Tobe looked up, his eyes filled with fear. I think someone's following me, and I think it's the same people who were after Ngozi. Chief frowned. What are you talking about? When I left the house, I stayed with a friend in Lekki. But last night, a car followed me. The same black SUV that used to pick Obinna up from his company. I tried to lose them, but they kept showing up wherever I went. Chief's stomach tightened. Obinna is in police custody. Tobe shook his head. No, Papa. He was released this morning. What? The news said lack of evidence. And Papa, Tobe's voice dropped, he called me. Chief's eyes narrowed. What did he say? Tobe swallowed hard. He said I should come and see him if I want to know who my real father is. The words hit like thunder. Chief stepped back, eyes wide. You're not going anywhere near that man. But Papa, what if it's true? What if? Enough. Chief shouted, his voice breaking. Do you know what he's capable of? That man destroyed everything I loved. He's not after you for truth. He's after revenge. Tobe lowered his gaze. Then maybe revenge is what I deserve. Chief felt a sharp pain in his chest. Don't say that. But Tobe wasn't listening. He stood slowly, his expression unreadable. I just came to warn you, Papa. If anything happens to me, remember, I did love you once, even if I wasn't really yours. He walked out before Chief could speak. The door slammed shut, echoing through the empty mansion. Chief stood frozen, every nerve in his body screaming. Because as the sound faded, his phone vibrated on the table. A message from an unknown number. He opened it, and his heart stopped. You took my daughter from me. Now I'll take your son. The message glowed on Chief Chukwudi's phone screen like fire. You took my daughter from me. Now I'll take your son. Oh, his blood ran cold. Obinna Okeke, his rival, his enemy, his former friend, wasn't bluffing. Chief stood frozen for several seconds, unable to breathe. Then the phone slipped from his trembling hand, clattering to the marble floor. Mama Ifeoma, he shouted. His voice cracked, desperate. Mama Ifeoma, come quickly. The elderly woman hurried in, startled by the tone in his voice. Chief, what happened? He grabbed her shoulders, eyes wild. It's Obinna. He's taken Tobe. Her hands flew to her mouth. Taken? But how? Tobe just left an hour ago. Chief ran to the window, staring out into the night. Rain had begun to fall again, soft but steady, drumming against the glass like warning fingers. He's been planning this all along, Mama. Every step, every secret was a trap. He snatched his car keys from the table. Call Detective Kola. Tell him to meet me at the station immediately. Chief, you can't go alone. I'm not waiting another second, he barked, rushing out the door. By the time Chief reached the police headquarters in Acacia, it was almost midnight. Detective Kola was already waiting, half asleep over a cup of coffee. When he saw Chief's face, he stood at once. What happened? Obinna has my son, Chief said, breathless. He just sent me a message. Kola frowned, snatching the phone. Did he call? No, just that text. Kola scrolled through it, his jaw tightening. He's serious. We've been watching his movements since his release, but he vanished this evening. No one's seen him or his men. Then find him. Chief snapped. Use whatever resources you need. I don't care what it costs. Kola put a hand on his shoulder. Chief, calm down. If we rush, we'll make mistakes. We need to think like him. Chief sank into a chair, rubbing his forehead. He's using my son to hurt me. I can't lose Tobe, Kola. Not after everything. Kola nodded slowly. Let's start with what we know. He's obsessed with destroying your family, right? That means he won't kill the boy immediately. He'll want to make you suffer first. Chief's head snapped up. Then where would he take him? Kola thought for a moment. Someplace symbolic. Somewhere tied to your past together. Chief's eyes flickered. The old steel factory. The one we co-owned before the betrayal. Kola grabbed his coat. Let's move. The drive to the abandoned factory in Ogun State felt endless. The road was narrow and wet, the headlights slicing through sheets of rain. Chief's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard that his knuckles turned white. If he touches my son, I'll end him myself. Kola glanced at him. Stay calm. Rage makes you sloppy. But inside, Chief's rage was a storm that could not be calmed. When they reached the rusted gates of the factory, Kola motioned for silence. They parked behind an old trailer and slipped out into the rain. The air was thick with the smell of oil and decay. In the distance, faint light flickered from inside one of the warehouses. Kola crouched behind a wall, peering through the binoculars. I see movement. 2 guards at the front. Chief's pulse quickened. Toe, can't tell yet. They moved carefully through the shadows, avoiding puddles that might give them away. Lightning flashed overhead, briefly illuminating the vast metal structure. And in that split second, Chief saw him. Tobe, bound to a chair at the center of the warehouse. And Obinna, standing in front of him, holding a gun. Chief's breath caught in his throat. He was about to move, but Kola gripped his arm. Wait, let me handle this. No, Chief hissed. He's my son. Then don't get him killed. Kola motioned for his men, who had quietly surrounded the building. Then he signaled Chief to stay back. Inside, Obinna's voice echoed, calm but cold. You see, Tobe, your father has spent his life thinking he could play God, deciding who wins, who loses, who's worthy. He thought he could control everyone. But tonight, he'll learn what it feels like to lose control. Tobe struggled against the ropes. You're insane. Let me go. Obinna smiled. You sound just like him. Proud, arrogant. Do you even know who you are, boy? Tobe glared at him. I know I'm not your pawn. Oh, but you are, Obinna said. Your whole life, you've been living someone else's lie. Do you even know who your real father is? Tobe froze. What are you talking about? Your mother, Adiz, Obinna continued, circling him slowly, was a woman full of secrets. The same way she hid my child from me, she hid the truth about you. You were never Chief Chukwudi's son. Your real father was the man she truly loved, a journalist named Ikena Duru. Tobe's mouth fell open. No, you're lying. I have proof, Obinna said with a smirk, tossing a folder onto the floor. Letters, photographs, DNA results, everything. I planned this for years. Tobe stared at the documents, his mind reeling. His whole identity shattered in that moment. And then, from the shadows, Chief's voice thundered. Enough. Both men turned. Chief stepped into the light, rain-soaked and furious, his gun raised. Obinna's smile widened. Ah, there he is, the almighty Chief Chukwudi Namdi. Right on time. Let him go, Obinna, Chief growled. Or what? I'll end this once and for all. Obinna laughed bitterly. You? And me? You couldn't even control your own wife or son. Chief's jaw tightened. You've ruined enough lives. It ends tonight. Kola and his men burst in then, shouting, Police! Drop your weapon. Obinna turned sharply, gun raised. Shots rang out. Chaos erupted. Chief ducked as bullets ricocheted off metal beams. Kola's men returned fire. One guard fell, the other fled. Obinna stumbled back, clutching his shoulder as blood seeped through his shirt. Kola yelled, We've got him surrounded. Drop it. But Obinna didn't. Instead, he turned toward Tobe, aiming his gun at the boy's chest. If I'm going down, I'm not going alone. Chief didn't think, he acted. He lunged forward, shouting, "No." The gun went off. The sound echoed like thunder. For a second, everything went still. Then Tobe gasped, staring in disbelief. Not at himself, but at his father. Chief stumbled, clutching his side. Blood spread across his white shirt. "Papa!" Tobe screamed. He fell to his knees beside him, pressing his hands over the wound. "Stay with me, please." Chief's breath came in short, painful bursts. "Are you hurt?" Tobe shook his head frantically. "No, but you are. We need help." Kola's men rushed in, subduing Obinna. The rival's gun clattered to the floor. He struggled, shouting, "He deserved this." They all did. Kola struck him across the face, silencing him. As the officers dragged Obinna away, Chief weakly reached for his son's hand. "Tobe!" Tobe's tears fell freely. "Papa, don't talk. Please." Chief smiled faintly through the pain. "You're my son, blood or not. You hear me?" Tobe nodded, choking on his sobs. "Yes, Papa. Yes." Chief's grip tightened. "Promise me. You'll take care of Ngozi. She's innocent." "I will. I swear I will." The flashing lights from police vehicles painted the scene in red and blue. Rain poured through the broken roof, washing over father and son. Chief's voice grew faint. "Tell her. I'm sorry. Papa, please no." But Chief's eyes fluttered shut. His hand went limp. "Papa." Kola knelt beside him, checking his pulse. "He's alive," he said quickly. "We need to move now." They lifted him onto a stretcher as Tobe followed, drenched and trembling. Obinna watched from where he was pinned to the ground, his lips curling into a smile even through the blood. "You can't save him. His punishment isn't death. It's knowing he built his empire on lies." Tobe glared down at him, hatred burning in his eyes. "If he dies, I'll make sure you never see sunlight again." Obinna chuckled weakly. "You just like him after all." As the sirens wailed and the convoy sped toward Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Tobe held his father's hand tightly. For the first time, he didn't care whose blood flowed through his veins. Because in that moment, he knew no truth, no betrayal, no DNA could erase what bound them. He was his father's son, and he would fight for him till the end. The white corridors of Lagos University Teaching Hospital smelled faintly of antiseptic and fear. Tobe had not left his father's bedside in 3 days. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor had become both a comfort and a torment, a reminder that Chief Chukwudi was alive, but barely clinging to strength. He sat slouched in the chair beside the bed, eyes sunken, shirt wrinkled, mind racing endlessly between guilt, anger, and confusion. Every few hours, nurses came and went, whispering updates, adjusting tubes, changing bandages. But Tobe barely noticed them. He could only stare at the man lying motionless before him. The man he had once called proud, cold, and unyielding. Now that same man looked fragile, smaller, and human. "Papa," Tobe murmured, his voice breaking. "I know I've said terrible things to you, but please wake up. You can't leave me now." His words faded into the soft hum of machines. Then, quietly, the door opened. Ngozi stepped in. She was wearing a simple blue gown, her face pale but composed. Her right arm was still bandaged from her ordeal, yet her eyes, calm and deep, carried a strength that startled him. Tobe rose instantly, unsure how to act. "Ngozi," she stopped near the doorway. "How is he?" "He's alive," Tobe replied softly. "But the doctors say he needs rest. He lost too much blood." She nodded, eyes glistening. "I heard what happened. If you hadn't gotten to him in time." He cut her off, shaking his head. "Don't thank me. I was late, like always." A silence fell between them. Finally, she walked closer, her voice low. "Obinna is gone, Tobe. The police took him to Kirikiri prison. They say his lawyers can't save him this time." Tobe let out a bitter laugh. "Good. Maybe that's justice." "No," she said softly. "Justice doesn't heal. It only ends pain on paper. But the wounds stay." He looked at her, unsure what to say. After a moment, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small brown envelope. "The hospital delivered this to me yesterday. It was found in your father's car after the shooting. He took it carefully. What's inside? I think it's from your mother, she said. It has her handwriting. Tobe's fingers trembled as he opened it. Inside were 3 folded letters, one addressed to Chukwudi, another to Tobe Chukwu, and one simply marked for the truth. Ngozi sat down quietly beside him as he unfolded the first one, the one written to his father. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were still strong, elegant, and familiar. My dearest Chukwudi, if you ever read this, it means I never found the courage to tell you everything. I loved you, truly, but I was weak. I let the loneliness of your world consume me. You were married to your empire, and I was a stranger in your palace. When I fell into Obina's arms, it wasn't love, it was escape. A foolish, temporary comfort. Ngozi was born from that moment of weakness. But I hid her not to shame you, but to protect her from your pride. I knew if you found out, you would reject her, not out of hate, but out of hurt. As for Tobe Chukwu, he was conceived in truth, but born in confusion. Ikenaduru was my past before you, but when I married you, I was already carrying him. You never asked why I wanted a quiet wedding, why I avoided doctors in Lagos. You trusted me, and I betrayed that trust. But Chukwudi, please believe me when I say this. You are the only father that boy has ever known. Your discipline, your strength, your stubbornness, all of it made him who he is. Blood does not make a father. Love does. If the past ever catches up to you, don't let it destroy what's left of your heart. Forgive me and forgive them. They are both innocent, and they both carry a part of you. Your wife forever. Adiz. The paper slipped from Tobe's trembling hands. He pressed both palms over his face, trying to hold back the tears. Ngozi placed a hand on his shoulder. Now you understand why she hid everything. He nodded weakly. She was protecting us from him, from Obina. Yes, she whispered. She sacrificed her reputation so we could survive. Tobe picked up the second letter, the one addressed to him. My sweet Tobe Chukwu, by the time you read this, you'll be a man. You may have heard many things about me, some true, some cruel. But know this, I loved you from the moment I knew I was carrying you. You were born into wealth, but I hope you never grow to worship it. Remember, true power is not in money, but in mercy. Your father may not share your blood, but he gave you something no man could, a name, a legacy, and a heart that learns to forgive. Protect that heart. And if you ever meet a sister named Ngozi, take care of her. She will need you one day. Your mother. Adiz. Tobe folded the letter carefully, his tears falling silently. He looked at Ngozi, who was staring at the last envelope, the one labeled for the truth. Open it, he said softly. She did. Inside was a single note, and a small flash drive taped to the corner. To whoever finds this, the truth is heavier than secrets, but sometimes it must be carried alone. Inside this drive are documents, recordings, and letters that explain everything about Obina's empire. His crimes go beyond revenge. They involve people in power who used me, who used all of us. If this ever reaches the wrong hands, our family will never be safe. Keep it hidden until the time is right. Adiz Namdi. Ngozi stared at the drive in her palm, her expression unreadable. This could destroy everything. Tobe looked at her. Or free us from all of it. She turned to him sharply. Free us? You don't understand. These men are powerful. If what's in here implicates them, they'll come after us too. He clenched his fists. We can't hide forever, Ngozi. Our mother died, protecting the truth. Maybe it's time we face it. But your father, my father, he interrupted, looking at the man lying unconscious on the bed, spent his life hiding from the truth. I won't do the same. Ngozi stared at him for a moment, then looked away. You sound like her. He smiled faintly through his tears. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. 2 hours later, Chief Chukwudi stirred. The nurse rushed in, followed by Tobe and Ngozi. His voice was weak but clear. Where am I? You're safe, Papa, Tobe said, leaning forward, relief flooding his face. You're in the hospital. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Chief's eyes fluttered open. Ngozi, I'm here, she said softly. You're going to be fine. He tried to sit up, but she stopped him gently. Don't move too fast. Chief looked between them, the two children who were both his and not his, and tears filled his eyes. I thought I lost you both. You almost did, Tobe said quietly. But we're here, and we know everything now. Chief's heart sank. Everything. Tobe nodded. Mama's letters. The truth about us. About Obinna. The old man turned his face away, shame covering him like a shroud. Then you know what a fool I was. Ngozi shook her head. No, Chief. You were just a man who loved too deeply and trusted too little. He looked at her, stunned by her grace. You're just like her, he murmured. Strong, stubborn, and full of heart. She smiled faintly. That's the first time anyone's called me strong. Chief sighed, leaning back on the pillow. Maybe now we can all heal. But before Tobe could answer, the door burst open. Detective Kola entered, holding a file. His expression was grim. Chief, he said urgently. We have a problem. Tobe frowned. What now? Kola placed a folder on the table. Someone broke into Obinna's company warehouse last night. The computers were wiped clean. Every file, every ledger, every recording. Whoever did it knew exactly what they were looking for. Ngozi's hand tightened around the flash drive in her pocket. Chief's eyes narrowed. So someone's trying to erase the truth. Kola nodded. Yes. And the strange part? One of Obinna's top men was found dead near the lagoon bridge this morning. Shot twice. The only thing found in his pocket was a note with your family name on it. Chief and Tobe exchanged a glance. Ngozi looked pale. This isn't over, is it? Chief slowly shook his head. No, my dear. The truth has just begun to wake up. He reached for Tobe's hand, then for Ngozi's, his weak voice steady. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Not as strangers, but as family. And as the rain began to fall again outside, they stood together in the small hospital room, bound by pain, secrets, and something even stronger than blood, forgiveness. But none of them noticed the shadowed figure watching through the window from across the hospital compound. A man in a black raincoat, holding a phone. He raised it to his ear and whispered, They have the flash drive. What should I do? A deep voice on the other end replied calmly, Follow them. The Namdis have only uncovered the surface. The real storm hasn't started. The man nodded and melted into the darkness. Imagine discovering that your whole family history was built on secrets, and the people you trusted most were hiding deadly truths. What would you do in Tobe or in Ngozi's position? Comment below where you're watching from, Lagos, Nairobi, Atlanta, Kingston, and tell us. Would you expose the truth or protect your family's name? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story if you're following till now, because the final chapters will reveal who's really behind everything. Night had fallen again over Lagos, but the city didn't rest. Outside the hospital, cars honked, rain poured, and life carried on. But inside Chief Chukwudi's private ward, the air was heavy with a silence thick enough to hear hearts beating. Detective Kola stood by the window, watching the rain trace crooked paths down the glass. Chief, whoever's cleaning up Obinna's trail is powerful, he said quietly. They're erasing everything. Accounts, documents, even names. This isn't just revenge. It's a cover-up. Chief sat up weakly, the pain in his ribs sharp but bearable. Then we're not fighting Obinna's ghost, he murmured. We're fighting something larger. Tobe, sitting beside the bed, clenched his fists. Then we'll fight. I'm tired of being the victim. Ngozi stood near the door, her arms folded protectively around herself. You're talking about men who could crush us with one phone call. We're not soldiers, Tobe. He turned toward her. We don't need to be soldiers to stand for truth. Chief looked at them both, his voice low but firm. Enough. We can't rush this. Obinna's empire didn't fall in a day, and whoever's behind him won't reveal themselves easily. Kola stepped closer. You're right, Chief, but I may have a lead. One of my informants from the Economic Crimes Unit says Obinna's shell companies were funded through accounts linked to government projects, specifically through the Ministry of Infrastructure. Chief frowned. That's impossible. Those projects were underweight. Kola nodded grimly. Yes, under your company, Crown Works Holdings. The words hit like thunder. Chief's face went pale. You're saying they used my company's name to launder money? Kola nodded. Exactly. Someone on your board must have been feeding Obina access. Someone close. Very close. Tobe's mind raced. You mean one of our executives? Kola looked at him. Or a family member. Chief's stomach dropped. No, it can't be. But deep down, a memory surfaced, faint but sharp. The day of the merger, when Tobe had insisted on handling the legal documents himself. His eagerness. His connection to Obina through parties and social circles. Could his own son have unknowingly signed something that tied their family to this mess? He shook the thought away. No, Tobe had suffered enough. He wouldn't put that evil on him. Before Chief could speak, his phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number again. Kola picked it up cautiously, activating the speaker. A distorted voice filled the room. You should have left the past buried, Chief. Ngozi froze. Who is this? The voice chuckled. The one Adiz feared the most. Chief's heart pounded. What do you want? I want the flash drive, the voice said calmly. And I want it before sunrise. Bring it to the old marina pier alone. Tobe stepped forward. If we don't, then your father won't live long enough to recover from that bullet. The line went dead. Ngozi's face drained of color. They know about the flash drive. Kola swore under his breath. They're tracking us. We have to move now. I'll arrange protection. But Chief shook his head. No police. If they're inside the system, they'll know before we move. This is my mess. I'll end it myself. Papa no. Tobe protested. They'll kill you. Chief looked at him with a sad smile. They already tried. Ngozi reached for the flash drive in her pocket, clutching it tightly. Then I'm coming with you. It's my mother's legacy. No, Chief said firmly. You'll both stay here. If I don't come back, you're not going alone. Tobe interrupted. Not this time. Before Chief could argue, Kola cut in. He's right. If you're walking into a trap, you need backup. I'll follow from a distance. Chief hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Fine. But the moment anything goes wrong, you get them out. The old marina pier was almost deserted when they arrived near midnight. The wind carried the smell of salt and rust, the waves slapping gently against the wooden pillars. Chief stepped out of the car, his coat billowing in the wind. Tobe and Ngozi followed, their footsteps echoing faintly on the wet planks. This place, Ngozi whispered. It feels like death lies here. Chief scanned the shadows. Stay close. Then a voice echoed from the darkness. You kept your word, Chief. From behind a stack of shipping containers, a tall figure stepped out. He was dressed in a black raincoat, the same man who had been watching them at the hospital. His face was half hidden under a cap, but his voice was unmistakable, cold, composed, and chillingly familiar. Chief's eyes narrowed. Who are you? The man smiled faintly. Someone you trusted once. Someone your wife feared. He stepped into the flickering light. Ngozi gasped. It's the driver from years ago. Chief's eyes widened as recognition hit him. Okechukwu. The man nodded. Yes, Chief. Okechukwu, the one you fired and forgot. But your wife didn't forget me. She came to me before she died. Chief frowned. What are you talking about? She wanted protection. She said powerful men were threatening to expose her. Men from your circle. I helped her disappear for a while. But when she came back, she was pregnant. I knew too much, and she was afraid I'd talk. So she paid me to keep quiet. He stepped closer, his eyes burning. But you ruined my life. When I tried to come back, you humiliated me, threw me out like trash. Chief's voice was steady. I fired you because you were stealing from me. Okechukwu's face twisted with rage. Stealing? I was surviving in a house where I was invisible. You think you're the only one who lost something? Your wife's death made me lose everything. She trusted me more than she trusted you. I loved her. The words hung in the air like poison. You loved her? Chief repeated slowly. Yes, Okechukwu hissed. And when she died, I made a promise to make every man who broke her heart pay. Ngozi's voice trembled. You killed those men? He smiled. Not directly. I simply pulled the strings. Obina was easy to manipulate. Greedy, arrogant. He thought he was using me, but I was using him. Every step he took led back to me. Tobe's fist clenched. You used him to destroy our family. Okechukwu shrugged. I didn't destroy your family, boy. Your father's pride did. Chief's face hardened. You want the flash drive? Yes, Okechukwu said. Give it to me, and maybe I'll let you live long enough to watch your legacy burn. Ngozi took a step forward, her voice steady. You'll never have it. He laughed. Brave words, little one. You think your mother's secret can save you? She met his eyes fearlessly. They already did, because she told the truth, and truth doesn't die. For the first time, his confidence faltered. You sound just like her. Good, Ngozi said. Then maybe you'll remember the woman you betrayed. Before Okechukwu could react, Kola's voice thundered from behind. Police! Drop your weapon. Lights flooded the pier as officers emerged from the shadows. Okechukwu cursed and fired his gun wildly. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouts, footsteps pounding across wet planks. Tobe grabbed Ngozi and ducked behind a container. Chief reached for his gun, but Okechukwu's bullet grazed his arm. Kola fired back. Drop it, Okechukwu. It's over. But Okechukwu only laughed, a wild, broken sound. You can't arrest me for the truth. He turned toward Chief one last time. You'll die knowing your empire was built on her lies. Then he raised his gun again, but before he could shoot, a single shot cracked through the night. He staggered, clutching his chest, and fell backward into the black water. The pier fell silent except for the rain. Chief lowered his smoking gun, his face expressionless. Tobe and Ngozi ran to him, both trembling. Papa! He looked at them quietly. It's done. But Detective Kola stared at the dark waves. Maybe, or maybe it's just beginning. Because as the rain slowed and the officers began to secure the scene, Kola noticed something glinting near the edge of the pier. A waterproof phone, half submerged in a puddle. He picked it up and unlocked the screen. A video file was open, time-stamped less than an hour earlier. Adi's face appeared. Her recorded voice said softly, If you're watching this, it means Okechukwu found you before the truth did. Don't trust anyone, not even those who say they love you. The screen went black. Kola stared at the phone, then looked toward Chief, Tobe, and Ngozi standing together in the dim light. He pocketed the device slowly, because whatever truth Adiz had left behind, it wasn't finished speaking yet. The next morning, Lagos was calm, deceptively calm. The rain had stopped, the sky was washed clean, and the city was stretching awake under a pale dawn. But inside Chief Chukwudi's mansion, the air still smelled of gunpowder and grief. Detective Kola stood in the sitting room, the recovered phone from the pier on the glass table between them. Ngozi sat beside Tobe on the couch, both of them looking pale and exhausted. Chief was standing by the window, his bandaged arm resting at his side, his eyes distant. Are you sure you're ready to see this? Kola asked quietly. Chief nodded once. Play it. Kola tapped the screen. The video blinked to life. Adiz appeared, sitting at a desk in a dimly lit room. Her face was thinner, older than in any of their memories, but her eyes were clear, full of pain, full of love. Chukwudi, she began softly, her voice carrying the weight of time. If you're watching this, then the truth has finally reached you. I recorded this months before I died, when I knew the secrets around us would one day destroy what we built. Chief's breath caught in his throat. She continued, I was never the woman you thought I was, not entirely. I tried to be, but the world you lived in was built on power, and I was built on fear. You and Obinna were not the only men fighting over business contracts. There were others, men with influence, men who owned the truth. When I tried to expose what they were doing, they came for me. Okechukwu, your driver, was working for them, not for me. He wasn't protecting me. He was watching me. Kola's eyebrows furrowed. So, she knew he was part of something bigger. Adiz's voice grew heavier. I made one mistake, trusting him. He learned everything, about Ngozi, about Tobe, about Ikenna. When I realized how deep his network ran, I was already trapped. They told me if I spoke, they'd make my children suffer. So I kept silent. I thought I could bury the truth with me. She paused, tears glistening in her eyes. But truth never dies. It only waits. Chief turned away, his jaw tight. On screen, Adiz looked down at her hands, trembling. Chukwudi, I loved you. Not because you gave me wealth, but because you gave me safety when the world was cruel. I failed you, yes. But you failed me too. We built a home with walls so high that even love couldn't climb over them. Ngozi wiped her eyes, whispering, Mama. Adiz smiled faintly. Ngozi, my child, if you're seeing this, you are stronger than I ever was. You were never cursed. You were the piece of light I left in a world of shadows. Don't let your bloodline define you. Let your choices do that. And she looked directly at the camera again. And Tobe, my son, my pride, my mistake, and my redemption. By the time you understand this, you will have learned pain. But pain will teach you compassion. Remember what I always said. To forgive is not weakness. It's the power to heal what others try to break. Tobe bowed his head, his tears dripping onto his hands. Finally, Adiz's tone changed. It became quiet, resolute. To whoever finds this, Okechukwu, Obinna, or anyone else who believes power makes them gods, I forgive you. Because forgiveness is the one thing you can't steal, forge, or destroy. She gave a faint smile, then whispered, Goodbye, my loves. Let peace finally live where pride once ruled. The screen went dark. For a long while, no one moved. The sound of the ceiling fan hummed softly over the weight of the silence. Chief exhaled slowly, like a man releasing a lifetime of pain. She forgave us, he said quietly. Ngozi nodded through her tears. She forgave everyone. Tobe wiped his face. Then maybe it's time we forgive ourselves too. Chief turned to them, eyes glistening. I don't deserve forgiveness. Ngozi stood and walked closer. You don't have to deserve it, Chief. You just have to accept it. He looked at her, the daughter who wasn't his by blood, yet the one who most resembled the best of Adiz's heart. You sound like her, he whispered. She raised me to be, Ngozi said softly. He smiled sadly. Then maybe that's her greatest legacy. Kola cleared his throat gently. Chief, I'll have to take this video as evidence. It connects Okechukwu to a much larger network, possibly politicians, contractors, even people abroad. But one thing's certain, your wife's story will expose them all. Chief nodded. Do what you must. Let the truth come out, no matter who it burns. 2 weeks later, headlines filled Nigeria's newsstands. Billionaire Chief Chukwudi Nnamdi exposes multi-billion naira corruption ring. Late Adiz Nnamdi's secret video rocks Lagos elite. Justice for the woman who died keeping the truth. Television stations replayed Adiz's final words again and again, her face now a symbol of courage and redemption. Chief stood by the balcony of his mansion, looking out over the sunrise. The city stretched before him, imperfect, loud, alive. Behind him, Tobe and Ngozi were packing their bags for the new foundation they had created in Adiz's name. The Adiz Hope Initiative, dedicated to women who suffered in silence. Ngozi turned to him with a smile. We're ready to go, Chief. He nodded. You both made me proud. Tobe grinned faintly. That's new. I thought pride was our family curse. Chief chuckled softly. Maybe it still is. But some curses can turn into blessings if we learn from them. Ngozi walked up and hugged him gently. You gave me a name when I had none. That's enough. He looked down at her, emotion tightening his throat. And you gave me a reason to live again. For the first time in years, the mansion felt lighter, like Adiz's spirit had finally been set free. As they stepped outside, the golden morning light fell across the front gates. Reporters stood waiting, their cameras flashing. But Chief didn't hide. He lifted his chin, his hand resting on Tobe's shoulder, the other on Ngozi's. When a microphone's thrust forward, a reporter asked, Chief, after everything, the lies, the secrets, the betrayals, how do you feel today? Chief smiled faintly. Lighter, he said, because truth always weighs less than a lie. He turned to Tobe and Ngozi, his voice softer now. Let's go home. They walked past the crowd together. 3 people bound not by blood, but by forgiveness. As they entered the car, Ngozi looked out the window one last time. The rain had stopped completely, and for the first time in years, sunlight filled the compound. And somewhere deep inside, she felt her mother smiling. And that's how truth, though buried in lies, rose again to heal a broken family. Sometimes forgiveness is the only inheritance worth keeping. Viewers, what would you have done if you were in Chief Chukwudi's place? Could you forgive the woman who betrayed you, or the world that broke you? Comment below where you're watching from, Lagos, Nairobi, Kingston, or Atlanta, and share what forgiveness means to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so more people can experience it. Because on this channel, every story reminds us, even in pain, there's always redemption.